Welcome back to the Pursuit of Progress, where we explore real estate, self improvement, and just how to get better every single day. I'm Adam, and I'm actually going to be solo this week. My co host Ben is off. He'll be back very, very soon. But in today's episode, it's going to challenge one of the biggest lies that high achievers believe, and that is that they have to do everything by themselves. If you're constantly overwhelmed or stuck, it's probably not a how problem, very possibly could actually be a who problem. So let's talk about how to stop trying to be the solution to everything and instead build the right team around your vision. So let's just jump right into it. So first off, I want to talk a little bit more about this core principle of who, not how. So this concept was actually made very popular by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy in the book Who, Not How. And it's a principle that they talk and really live their life by. This core idea is very simple. It's just stop asking, how do I do this? And instead start asking, who can help me to do this faster, better, and more efficiently? So if you have a big enough vision, you won't have the time to figure out every detail yourself. You're going to need to find the right who that way will unlock the how. So time for all of us is our most valuable asset. I hope we can all agree with that. And every hour you spend today trying to solve the wrong problem is an hour you're not moving your vision forward. A lot of common mistakes happen with this. I'm talking here from experience. I used to think, doing everything myself was a strength. I called it hustling, but in reality, it was just control, maybe a little bit of ego and fear that was holding me back. These are very common things that a lot of us deal with. And in fact, there are three most common reasons that people avoid building a team, having other people help them with their goal. Number one, first, they really believe that no one else can do it like they can. Second, they think that they don't have time to train somebody else. And the third reason is because they worry that they just can't afford to hire the help that they need. But here's the truth. Staying stuck in that how keeps you from stepping into your highest level of work. You can't scale your time, but you can scale your impact through others. So how can we apply who, not how in our lives as well as in our businesses? So let's just talk first about step one. I'm going to talk to you guys now basically about 4 steps that I think are really valuable to follow to really achieve this who, not how mentality. So starting with step number 1, I want you guys to do a time audit. So for the next 3 days, track everything you do in 30-minute chunks. Then you're going to categorize each of these tasks as either red, yellow, or green. Think of it like a stop sign, stoplight. Red tasks are these low value tasks. These could be things like admin, maybe responding to emails, anything that's very repetitive, some maybe repetitive chores like even doing the laundry or mowing the lawn or, stuff like that, getting the groceries. Yellow tasks, they're necessary, but they're not visionary. And then green tasks, these are really high value and really aligned closely with your unique strength and your goals. Really, really important to focus on those green tasks. After that 3 days of time auditing, your calendar is going to start to reveal some things. It's going to reveal your priorities, but it's also just as important, it's going to start revealing some of these bottlenecks. So once you've done that, now it's time to move into step 2. So step 2 is now going to be defining what I like to call your zone of genius. So just ask yourself, what do I do that creates the most results? What fills my cup? What gives me energy? On the flip side, what drains you? What drains me? The goal is to spend about 80% of your time in that zone of genius, not in your inbox or whatever else that might be kind of filling your time with very low value type tasks. All right, that's step 2. Now we're moving to step 3. We're making progress. Step 3 is just to start small. So find one key who that can support you. So it doesn't need to be a full-time hire. Just think of this as a very small first step. Start with somebody who maybe can just take one recurring task off your plate. One of those things maybe that was in red or even in yellow. This could be a virtual assistant, maybe a content editor, depending on what you're needing to do. Could just be, again, like a house cleaner, could be a bookkeeper, or if you're a real estate agent like myself, it could be even a transaction coordinator. I won't go into depth on what that is, but that's just somebody that really helps with all of the contracts and just the compliance of our contracts in real estate. So that first hire, again, the most important part here is it doesn't have to be full-time. They just need to provide full-time value. One of my favorite quotes from a guy that I really, really love listening to a lot, his name's Dan Martell. He talks about buy back your time before you buy your toys. I think this is something that I've really gotten more aware of as I've gotten a bit older and starting to go into my 40s, that before, when you looked at material possessions as being so valuable and really what you're working hard towards, When you get a bit older, it's crazy how your mindset shifts, at least for a lot of us, where now time actually becomes the highest value. So instead of that brand new car, which also is awesome, and I think most of us would love to have, you still though focus your intention and your value more on just time, quality time, being able to have that time in the afternoon to go maybe watch your kids practice or go to a football game or whatever it may be, just that value of time. So again, buy back your time before you buy your toys. And then final step number 4, give ownership. What I mean here is to, give ownership, not just tasks. So don't micromanage, don't, oversee somebody that just needs to handle this for you. That's not going to be doing anybody any good. You want to document your processes first. One really good way to do this that I use is a software called Loom. It's about nine or $10 a month. And basically it's a screen recording software for your computer where it has a little video of you in the corner. And basically, if you're working on the computer a lot, maybe some of these tasks that you're trying to offload onto a virtual assistant, basically what you do is just hit that Loom record button and just do what you're going to do anyways, but then just verbally talk out loud and just explain what it is that you're doing, maybe little quirks or little things that you really want to make sure are done a certain way. And once you're done doing that task and having it recorded this time, just finish recording, and now you can share that with your virtual assistant, your VA, and you'd be amazed at how adept they are at being able to really take that and run with it, and probably do, in some cases, a better job than even ourselves could do at that task. So it's really, really great just to have resources available to share with them, rather than just it taking up a ton of your time and having to explain it to them, over and over again. Or maybe you have a virtual assistant and then it doesn't work out and you get a new one. Instead of having to explain everything to them all over again, by having this library of resources of video trainings, just basically documenting how you do certain things, this will make a huge difference down the road and hopefully be much, much more efficient. And I think the way to kind of end this 4th step with just being able to give ownership and not just be taking tasks off your plate, empower that person, that person that's helping you, really empower them by giving them really clear outcomes to own, not just tasks to complete. So, instead of just, filling out a form that you want help with once a week, give them the reason behind it. What is the goal? What are we having them do that for? And maybe instead of just doing that, next time they do it, they can even go a step further and really take even more off your plate that you didn't even realize they had the capacity to do. So really, really important. Give ownership. Don't just expect them to take these tasks off your list. So a real world example I'll use on this one with the virtual assistants. When I hired my first virtual assistant, it was maybe about 3 years ago, and I was a little nervous. I thought it would take longer just to train them than just by doing it myself. But about a month in, about 30 days, I was just asking myself at that point why I waited so long. That one hire, they freed up, I'd say at least 5 hours, maybe 10 hours per week. And those hours now allowed me to have more energy when I'm communicating with my clients, hopefully also focus more on high level tasks and activities that produce more revenue and just a lot more healthy mental clarity. So really important just to give a little bit of leeway when it comes to the VAs, and you'd be amazed at what they can accomplish. So now I want to just give you guys a little bit of a take home, little takeaway, actionable step for you guys to work on this week. So we talked a little bit about this earlier, but here are 4 things you guys can do this week to implement the who, not how strategy. So like I said earlier, number 1, do that 3-day time audit. Number 2, circle 3 tasks from that list that drain you and could potentially be delegated to somebody else. Number 3, then now identify the who to help you buy back your time for those 3 tasks. And then last but not least, number 4, reach out to your network, maybe post a job, schedule a call. Just take one step today to really help build out this new process and hopefully alleviate a ton of your time to focus on what's more important to you. So to close this one out, you're not lazy, you're not broken. You're just doing too much of the wrong stuff. And that is true for myself. And I bet you a lot of my listeners today can really relate to that. Your freedom, it won't come from just another productivity hack. It'll come from actually building the right team around your vision. Yes, it might take a little bit more work up front initially, but man, it is so much more efficient in the big scheme of things. And you guys will be so happy and glad that you did this when you are 30 days in and you can look back. So just remember, stop asking, how can I do this? And instead start asking, who can help me to make this happen? Hope you guys enjoyed this quick little episode today. Get a little bit of value out of it, hopefully as well. If you guys did, do me a solid, share this episode with a friend, anybody else that you think might get some value out of more productive type tips like this on that pursuit of progress, getting 1% better every single day. If you guys could also, please make sure you hit that like button, download the show, hit the subscribe button on YouTube as well as on Spotify and Apple. That's the only way we're going to grow this show and reach more people. And that's the goal for doing these episodes every single week. Look out for a next one on Friday. And until then, hope you have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys on the next one on the Pursuit of Progress podcast. I'll see you guys then. Bye.